I'm going to share with you our experience of creating a self-service dashboard layout using Tableau Desktop. So, as I said, I'm working for Gett. Gett is a ground transportation tech company which provides taxi and delivery services in B2B and B2C domains in UK and Israel markets. So I have joined Gett around 2 years ago, and at that moment the company was going through the process of migrating to Tableau from another BI system. And it was quite a challenging project due to a large number of reports we had to migrate in quite a short time. But also we got a great opportunity to redesign our dashboards. So we decided to start with the key operational dashboard at Gett. And the old version of this dashboard had some serious issues. So it was quite old school designed, it has lack of flexibility, not all metrics were visualized properly also. Different slices of data were presented at different pages, so not much good user experience was there. But the most important thing that this one was quite old, legacy one, and we were not sure, is it still relevant for our audience in terms of metrics, categories, and other stuff we had there. So we made a decision that we need somehow to check it. But unfortunately, our old BI tool did not have much analytics on the usage. So we decided to conduct a survey for our users. The survey had a full list of all metrics, categories, date levels, pages, and other elements in the dashboard. So our stakeholders were asked just to check mark from the list which elements they use and which they don't. After we have received the results, we were a bit overwhelmed, actually, because approximately amount 20 categories and more than 50 different metrics, more than 90% of these fields were still relevant. And actually, it's a great news. So the dashboard was cool about its content. But on the other hand, we did not have much opportunity somehow to cut it or optimize. Also, we have noticed an interesting pattern. Some groups of metrics and other fields were interesting for distinct groups of the users. So at this point, we made the main important decision regarding this dashboard. So we decided to let people choose by themselves what metrics do they want to see and how to combine it. So after we will skip this pretty slide and go into the dashboard and Tableau Desktop, I will add a couple of words regarding data source. So first of all, it is our production dashboard, and for sure, I'm not eligible to show you the real data. So what I did, I have just taken the original dashboard from the production, cut some parts of it, I left only an essential one, and also I have substituted our original data source to sample superstore, which goes, as you know, with Tableau Desktop from the box. And as you may know, it's also quite small data source, so I have added a couple of calculated metrics just to mimic the situation that we have something to choose from the list. And this should be enough for the demo. So let's go to the dashboard. Okay, so we have our nice Tableau Desktop. I will share the full screen. Okay, so in Gett, we try to follow some best practices in building dashboards, and including such things like usage of a template with a list of recommendations on layout, designs, color, fonts, and things like that. And as you see, the layout of this dashboard is really quite simple. So on the left, we have our filter pane. And in the main part, on the top, we have an area with the charts and then a table. And now we will go through all of these elements and to talk about each interesting technical decision. So I will break the common pattern of presenting a dashboard, which, as you know, like you start with the most general and important, and then you are diving into details, like the viewer does. But we will go through it from the developer's perspective, from some most simple technical solutions to the most interesting. So Let's start with the filter panel. We always strive to keep all our filters in one place, so on a separate area. And actually, every user in a company knows where they can find it without lurking across the whole dashboard. And also inside this panel, different filters are grouped regarding to their types. Maybe something on dates, separately something on locations, something on business lights, and other stuff. Also, we use from time to time buttons just to hide and show elements. And well, this just gives more space for more important elements of the dashboard. Okay, so let's start investigation with the date filters. It is one of the most important rules for us in preparing the dashboard, just to limit amount of the data from the start, because we want to prevent some unexpected crash of the report due to overload. And to do so, we use a kind of floating time window. So it is tied to the most recent date in the data source on one side, and also it has some fixed widths with a number of days backwards. Let's take a look how to do the same. Okay, so first of all, you should prepare a couple of calculated fields. No, please don't send the data to server. So they will be date fields. We call them date earliest and date latest. So what's inside? It's just a global maximum of all the dates you have inside your data source. And date earliest is actually really similar. So it's just the same, but with subtraction of some fixed interval. We're ready with calculations here. And the next part is to create a parameter. Oh, a parameter. Okay, we have called them to and from. And it is just a simple date parameter, which takes as an input the corresponding calculated field. So date latest for to parameter and date earliest for from parameter. After this, we are ready to add these parameters to the filter pane. Why do we need it? Because we still want our users to have a possibility to change it. And then we are creating also a date filter. It's actually a very simple logical condition that says that our date should be strictly between from and to parameters. And that's it. Now our date filter is ready. It cuts our data as we wish. And every time your dashboard is refreshing, your date frame is also refreshed with a consistent logic. The next interesting filter in our list is metrics. It's interesting, it's actually in its usage, but technically it is the most simple thing that actually we here have. It's just a list of all measures that we have in our data source. It's a multiple drop-down list, and in this example, for sure, we have like up to 10 metrics. It's not so much. But in our production situation, we have more than 50 metrics. And for sure, if you as a user, as a manager, you will not use all 50 metrics on a daily basis. So you can choose from, I don't know, 15 to 12 according to your domain. And you are doing this once, and then you can create a simple custom view and use it for a long time. So we can deselect metrics that we are not interested in. Okay, let's have here still profit ratio. I want this. And your table is changing. So now we have the new list of columns, only the metrics we need for this purpose. As you may notice, the list itself is a bit dirty. So we have here some technical measures and intermediate computations. Why so? Well, you can hide unused fields, but if some measures are still participating in intermediate calculations or in some other parts of the dashboard, they will still be here in this list. So maybe it's not the perfect solution, but it works. So it solves the case, and that's the point. To do this is quite easy. What you need is just to create a table based on measure names and its columns. And then you bring the same measure names into a filter panel, and that's it. So now your measure selector is ready. So now we have smoothly moved from the filters to the table itself, yeah, because we have already started some interaction with it. And here is a place for the next part of our self-service design. We have here on the top right of the section 2 additional controllers. One for the date levels and the second for different categorical groupings. So, dates. It is a parameter, as you may guess, I hope, and we can switch between, I don't know, different levels like months or weeks or whatever you need. You would ask me, why do we need to do so if we have so nice dates in Tableau? I'm really in love with dates in Tableau because there are so many capabilities, so many different formats, so many different functions. And for sure, the greatest thing I love especially is the possibility to zoom in and to zoom out date levels in charts and tables. And it's really great. But it may be tricky if on your dashboard you have several elements with the timelines, and you want them to be synchronized between each other with the same level of dates. So as I said, how to fix it? We need to use a parameter. Let's take a look how we should organize it. Oh, dashboard is already want to connect to the server. Oh, poor thing. Okay, so we have created a date level parameter. It's a string type parameter and with fixed list of values. There are two types, value and display as. So pay attention to these labels. Display as is a human readable name of date levels. Let's take a look at value. It looks a bit more specific. Could you guess what is it? Why so strange names? Yes, exactly. It is a date part parameter which can be used in date functions. So now, with building such structure, we can create a calculation field, date level, just only in one line. So that's great. Now we have our two elements synchronized. The second part is a grouping by different categories. For example, we can just choose a splitting by country and to see grouping for each matrix for each country accordingly. You may ask again, why do we need to do so? We have so many filters. We can create any interesting combination to narrow our data and investigate it in detail. So why do we need to do this? Well, sometimes it may be not enough because your user would like to see some cross analytics. Yeah, maybe I'd like to filter my data based on geographical location and then to dive into details regarding business lines. Maybe I want to select some category product and then to investigate the performance of my managers, stuff like this, or any other combination you may imagine. So that's why we have created such a structure to make a possibility to see some cross analytics in a table. Actually, you can go even further. Yeah, so for sure you can have the same list in filters and the set of groupings in this parameter, and also you can organize some sort of the structure to mimic a pivot table where user will be in control both for columns and for rows, but actually it would be some overcomplication for our case, but still you can do this. And finally, these two parameters participate in creation of this adaptive header. So as you can see, it's just a text box with both of these parameters inserted inside. And now, when you do some manipulations with these parameters, your header actually means exactly the thing that you have in your table. So not just some statistical overview, but country statistical overview by weeks. It's very nice things to have if you're going to make some screenshots or things like that. Okay, so now I think we can so we haven't. Now we have to take a look inside how actually it works with our overview table. Okay. We have discussed measure names, we have discussed date levels, and to organize the splitting with parameter, we are using additional calculation field, which is split table. So, as you may imagine, we have a parameter, and based on it, We're also creating a field. It's just a case statement which makes binding between labels in the parameter and the dimensions that we have in our data source. Also, we have some placeholder, the empty one here, which will just says for the system that we're not gonna split anything anyhow. So no correspondence with any dimension. That's how this thing works. So now let's move to the charts. First of all, as we already know, the timeline here is used the same as in a table. Yeah, so this parameter with date levels affects both parts of our dashboard. So it's understood. What about splitting? We have some nice splitting inside the table. What if you would like to see the same details but visually? For this purpose, on the top right of this section, we have a switcher, and by default, it is set for don't slice. But if you want these visual details, you can easily get it just with clicking on the switcher. Now we have the same simple line chart, but now each line represents each group. And also our total KPI that we had previously here has switched to the bar chart containing totals according to the groups. So how to create the things? The solution is based on the usage of two parameters and a calculated field, which will serve as a logical filter. So what the recipe precisely here? Under the hood, we are switching between two visual elements. And to create such a switching, you should build two visual sheets. So one of these will be a splitted one, which is colored by according to our split parameter grouping. And the second one will be just general line, which we had previously seen before we have switched to split view. What we have to do? So the parameter we are interested in here is split table and for sure our switcher. But the calculation field, we have called it show bar, don't ask why. It's just a logical condition and there are two parts. So first of all, our split table should be set to none, yeah, to some category. And the second, the switcher on the chart also should be turned on. When the both of these conditions are met, the result of this calculation will be true. Otherwise, it will be false. So now, when you have seen this split picture, you are putting this field into the filter panel and setting it to be the true. For the second one, which should be total, you set it to be false. And now you understand. So the only picture will be shown whether this condition is met. Now you just take both of these two sheets and put it into the same container on your layout. So if we can widen it a bit, yeah, so this is a split one. We can see it now. And the total one, which is hidden here, it is empty. But really, they both are here. The same structure we have created for total/KPI box with the bar chart, and it works directly the same, so same approach. And finally, about the chart itself. Well, what do we see here? It's some sales metrics, and previously I was saying like, oh, we have so many metrics, and none of them were visualized on the old dashboard, it's so bad, and now we see the only one. So to have only one metric on the pane is quite a boring thing. And okay, we just decided if we let the user choose something from the table to pick metrics, we can do actually the same for the visual part. And if you are clicking at any area of the table, maybe on the name or maybe on some cell, your chart will be changing according to the metric you have chosen. Okay, so what is under the hood? Let's take a look in detail. First of all, our developer's journey starts again with a parameter. We have called it parameter measure. Okay. Something has stuck. Okay. Yep. So here we have the list of all of our metrics that our user may potentially be interested in. Yeah, so values and displays as the same, just all the metrics we have. Okay, we got it. After this, we are creating some kind of generical value in our calculations. It's again a case statement, so it builds correspondence between the names and the values. And some of them need some additional aggregation, some of them has already been pre-aggregated, some need some additional multiplications and stuff like that. And to be honest, this case statement can be quite long, and in our production system it is so. But it gives you some flexibility with working with each of the measures, yeah, because you can treat each of it as it needs. A bit hard maybe to support the structure, but I think it's still worth it. Okay, we have created this value, and now we can put it on the shelves for any visual element or KPI we use in the dashboard. So in our case, there are 4 sheets using this value measure. Okay, great, now we have it. But let's stop for a moment and roll back a bit. So we have this value, it is a calculation, and it is based on a parameter. So the question is where this parameter is on a dashboard. It's inside the table, yes, but how it works? Actions, yes, it is totally right question. In Tableau, we have actions, and they help to make dashboard much more flexible and interactive than just usage of filters and parameters. So also there are several types of actions, and the one we need is change parameter. So when we're taking a look inside to see the settings, we see we have there a source sheet, we have target parameter, and we have source field. So how it works? When you reach in your table, now your action is triggered because it is our source sheet. And this action can find what was the target measure. In our case, it was measure names. After this, measure names just work as an input to our parameter, and that's it. After this, the whole chain is triggered, and it works like we discussed before. So that's the end of my tiny workshop. And now I'd like just to share with you our small recipe for creating a self-service dashboard design. It is a usage of filters, parameters, and actions together in combination, bringing a synergy. So thank you very much for your attention, and I will be glad to answer your questions.
Hi, thank you. It's a great dashboard. Thank you for sharing cool tips. I saw you use a lot of context filters.
Yep.
May you share why? Do you use sets or something else? Why?
No, we don't use it, but for the main reason in our case for the context filter is calculation of top N. Because in some categories we have a lot of values inside, like cities. They may be, I don't know, several hundreds. And we need to have top 10 only according to the filters we have set.
Thank you. One more question. I have several.
Okay. So you will be the winner, yeah?
How deep is your data? History of data from?
It's couple years.
Couple years, yeah. Daily.
Yeah, not daily. The granularity is much less. It's on the level of the driver, yeah, because we use taxi service, so we need drivers. We need this to calculate distinct number of drivers because we have it like one of the main metrics. So it's a huge one. I will not say the number of rows, but yeah.
So it's not daily, monthly, quarterly?
No, it's let's say it's combination of day, driver, and some other parameters. So some complex GK.
So even 2%.
Yeah.
Okay, and how to refresh?
Oh, it's a nice question because in production dashboard we have kind of combination inside, because some pages use custom SQL with extracts once a day, but the main part with this all large list of metrics, it's a published data source. So you see.
Is it like SQL for multiple objects or pre-calculated objects in that ways?
It's a data model in data warehouse. And that's it. So on the level of Tableau server, we're just sourcing it like a published data source, and that's it. Yeah.
So I understand it right that you use blending tools.
No, we're not. It's one published source and several custom SQLs, but they serve for different purposes. So they don't need to intersect between each other. So just because of separate pages in a dashboard. So it's much larger one than I'm showing you. Because also we have some cases for statistics based on a quarterly level. And it's a separate small data source without any blending or joining to the main one. Also, we have some additional statistics with specific metrics on hourly basis, and it's also a separate data source, but they are relatively small, so that's why we don't publish them. And only refresh extracts one a day.
How long does it take for exit?
The whole dashboard now, the whole one.
The whole process. So
yeah. Yes, so for the whole this performance dashboard, it works around 25 minutes.
Brilliant. And the last question.
Okay. You can already take it.
I saw on the chart use swap measures, and I assume that different measures have different formats. Percents, numbers, millions.
Yep.
How do you handle format of an axis? Is it built-in solution or maybe some other tricks?
Okay, so it's a built-in solution. In this case, we use just automatical detection of the format. And that's why we are doing these crazy things like here, multiplication by 100, because I want persons to look like persons.
So built-in function works well.
Yep.
Because it's often a difficulty to set up an access.
Especially with dates.
Yes.
Oh, dates are so nice.
How successful were you in implementing self-service? Because you started that you wanted to move away from the fixed dashboard, let's say, flexibility, much less than we have in Tableau. So how is it? How does it work?
I think it works good, especially for the users who like to use custom views. Yeah, so for sure we had first to make some steps for adoption of this dashboard, because it was not something with which people have get used with. Yeah, they haven't seen these capabilities before. So we had for some training, we have recorded video how to work with this stuff, and also we have created some nice helping page to show which steps they should perform to use it. And our best stakeholders actually love it very much. They are wrapping and dragging everything they can in this dashboard and creating custom views for very separate needs. Yeah. So
how do you control the quality of the whole process when you add new metrics? Because now it seems you need a lot of manual work to add. And how do you solve this problem?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So there will be two parts in my answer. First one, the current list is quite a strict list. It has been created for a long time ago, and it's very stable. So it's really a rare case when we need something to choose. In this condition, the dashboard lives for more than 1 year, and no one asked to add some additional metrics. So it's the first answer. The second answer is who controls? The owner of the dashboard controls. As a dashboard owner, you should be, very accurate and make some QA after publishing. So that's it.
In terms of, I would like to ask about the performance, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You have a table,
Yeah.
a lot of columns. You have a lot of calculations, parameters, and so on. But do you have any performance issues, first of all? I mean, I don't mean extract, but just the dashboard. And maybe you have some advice how to avoid performance issues with such kind of dashboard.
Okay, so yeah, to be honest, the dashboard is actually quite heavy, and it's not only the most popular dashboard, and it's also the most largest, the most heaviest dashboard in our system. So yes, we have some, let's say, performance issues, but the solution that we have found is just to set the dashboard to refresh on a correct schedule, because we have a lot of dashboards, and we have service statistical dashboards where we track how many dashboards at which time slot are refreshed, and we are trying to even this structure and to find the time slot, the correct time slot for the dashboard to put it here with refresh. So that's how we're doing it now. Okay, so I think that the winner is actually the first requester, because I was impressed by the number of questions, and yeah.